Hey y'all, hey. Okay, so boom, boom. So I'm on the way. I don't know why this angle seems to not do me justice. Y'all gotta forgive me for my looks. Okay, so I'm on the way home, right? Just getting off of work, and I had to stay after for some guests. You know, they had a little bit of wine and stuff like that. And so I was speaking to this woman who has so much knowledge. This woman is from Libya, and she's like 60 years old, right? And I'm like, you look good for 60. So I'm like, what is your secret? And so she was saying that the older she gets, when you think you know, you really don't know. She's learned to understand people that she disagrees with, and then sometimes maybe say, you know what, maybe I need to kind of self-evaluate me. That's what she was saying. So she said she got all of this. She was talking about her daughter-in-law and how at first she thought she really didn't like her too much, but now she really likes her. But she started, and then she went into the archives talking about her mother-in-law. And she gave me this awesome, she told me what happened with her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law was a psychiatrist. And how her mother-in-law always treated her with respect, with dignity. And she was a very calm person. And she learned so much from her mother-in-law. And so it made her, and so I asked her, well, is it, well, like, why do the mothers feel, like, for instance, at first she said she felt a certain way about her daughter-in-law because with her son. I said, is it something about the daughter-in-law versus the son-in-law? Because she said, well, yeah, because this is the way she analyzed this. She said with her daughter is still clingy to her mother. Like, my mama will always be in my life. So when I was married, I was still like, mommy, she was always in my life. But the way she felt was with her son, he was really distancy, like he was more so pushing towards his wife, like, which he's supposed to. And she felt the disconnect, and like her son is drifting because of this other woman. And I guess in her, because I'm like, I told her, I don't think I can ever understand that because I have a daughter. And Symphony right now, and as an infant, she's a mama's girl. So I know when she gets older, like, I'm going to always be there. But I guess I understand in the sense of what she was saying, like, far as her son feeling that he was like drifting towards his wife, in which he's supposed to. But she was basically saying, like, she's learned to adjust to her and learn not to basically say, oh, you're doing this wrong, because she has a point. She's really learned to really love her daughter-in-law, and what you're supposed to do. And so, you know, y'all, I had like maybe a sip of wine, and she asked this question, like, how's my daughter? I'm like, she's 3. And she asked me, how was I with my mother-in-law? And in a way, I told the truth, but in a way, I lied. I told her, like, I had a really good relationship with my mother-in-law. Like, my mother-in-law, I thought, was a very good woman at that time. I thought she would, but I also told her, too, like, I felt like I needed to, her expectations of me might have been very high, and I needed to show and prove to her that I was worthy to be my ex-husband's wife at that time. And what I mean by that, like, I knew that my mother-in-law was watching me, like, far as, does she know how to use a fork? Does she know how to set the table? Does she know how to cook? Because I remember one time where I just didn't know which fork to pick up, and I was just like, what fork is it? You know, just, I wasn't even going to fake. I got tired of trying to figure out which one to touch. So I'm up here looking at my husband at the time, like, well, which fork is he going to pick up? Okay, if he picks that up, I'm going to pick this up. I'm looking at everybody else, and I noticed that my father-in-law, the way he would eat. There's a certain, I forgot the name, I want to say it's the French style, but the way he would cut and do things, like that is a certain, I guess, etiquette, a certain style of eating. And I felt like my mother-in-law was looking at all of that to test me to see, does this whatever know what she's doing? But in the midst of it all, I really enjoyed my mother-in-law. She had great stories, and I honestly thought she was a woman of great class. So, of course, you know, I'm like, I'm classy too, you know. But I really enjoyed her, and so I told her, and it's crazy because even though I am divorced, there are certain things that I learned from my mother-in-law to this day that I do because I learned it from her. And so when the lady asked me, I didn't even say anything evil. I just said my mother-in-law was a really great person. I didn't say, yeah, she was there when they dragged me in court and kicked me to the curb. I didn't say all of that. But I just was like, you know, yeah, my in-laws, they were really good. Father-in-law telling the judge, yeah, I'm paying for all of these lawyers to jump my daughter-in-law. But before all of the beef happened with my in-laws, we had a really good relationship. But I could kind of tell too that she was so used to doing so much for Matt at the time that she probably felt a little threatened. You know, no, she probably she's not threatened, but like, she's not making his lunches anymore. She's not washing his clothes anymore. She's not doing any of that. His wife is doing it. So, yeah. So, anyway, listening to this woman talk, she had nothing but what's the word? She had nothing but greatness to say about her mother-in-law. She had nothing but really good things to say about her mother-in-law, that you could almost see tears coming through her eyes, because I could tell like her mother-in-law probably passed. She had great things to say. I think that when you first get married, you may bump heads a little bit, but if you stick it in, you'll find that you adjust to your mother-in-law and to your father-in-law. But anywho, oh, I hope I got parked in. But anyway, it was a great story that she told me about her mother-in-law, and it had me really thinking about my mother-in-law at that time. I guess it was okay. I know one thing, if I have a son, I'll never be like that. I'll never be like, my son doesn't need you, he needs me. Also, y'all, some great things have happened today. Can I give y'all a testimony? Testimony. Yeah. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. Testimony. Yeah. So let me tell y'all what happened today. I was in my office chilling. Then all of a sudden, I get my two superiors walk on the door, and they want to speak to me. I said, is everything okay? They said, everything is. We want to offer you a permanent position. I said, oh, yeah, and we want to start you at. I said, I was thinking, oh, yeah, things about to change. So, yes, I thank the Lord for that. I went from being kicked. The only thing that, honestly, y'all, that I'm just like, Lord, please, I got to do a background check. And I'm hoping and praying that when my daddy-in-law decided to put an eviction on my stuff, I hope it don't show up on my background. I really do. I'm gonna have to explain it to them. Look, I know y'all see all that court stuff, but that's because I went through a divorce, you know. Other than that, I'm a good human being and I'll get the job done, you know. So yes, y'all, that was like some awesome news today. And so for me to go upstairs and this lady is like telling me about her mother-in-law and the things that she learned at 60 years old, I'm like, that's so awesome. And I'm gonna tell you, I had a shame to say, well, I used to be married. It was such a shame. It's like one of those things, I don't even want to mention to people that I was ever married before, because as soon as they find out that you're freaking divorced, they're just like, oh, You don't know nothing about this. You're on a different scale. Y'all had to fail. It is such an embarrassment. Matter of fact, one of the folks, he was talking about they're about to get married and they're going to be ordering different buses. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I thought about that 50-50. I'm like, I hope they make it, man. I hope they make it. And you know what he said? I don't know how we got on this subject, but he was like, you know, this is the first or second time around. I said, no, you're first. Don't ever say the second out your mouth, the first. And I asked him, you never been married before, have you? No, she hasn't. No, yes, you're first and you're last. Don't even joke like that. You just leading the way for the demons to get up in there and say, ha, ha, ha. But it was an embarrassment, man. It's so embarrassing. It is. It's embarrassing to say I'm divorced. It's reality, but daggone it, if I can just avoid that word. But you know, when you have a baby, they looking at you like, and I'd be like my husband at the time. Y'all, today was a good day. Today was a truthful day. And it actually, when she was talking about her mother-in-law, I just started having flashbacks to my mom, my mother-in-law. And I was starting to think about the things that I learned from her. Like, I really learned about plants. I really learned about costas and different plants and different birds and certain stitches, too. I learned, like, I love the simple fact that she liked to set the table with the fine china, and I love stuff. I just think it's pretty. And she likes, she's a, you know, it was certain things about my mother-in-law that I was just like, oh, I like that, you know. But at the same time, I always felt like, am I not good enough? And I'm trying to meet her expectations. And at one point in time, I really thought they were just comfortable with me. But I didn't know in the back of their minds, they were still like, man, we can't stand this girl. We can't stand this woman. Yeah, I really doubt when I get here that it's going to be parking. I hope my cousin parks for me. But, yeah, like, even when I was like, yeah, and I guess in a sense I lied to the lady, because I was like, yeah, my in-laws were very nice. They were very nice people. And then I had that flashback. You know what I'm talking? They were very nice. Flashback. Father-in-law. Attorneys. Paying for my divorce. Yeah, they were nice. Anywho, so let me not go there, because today was a great day, honey. So they were saying, like, you know, far as me taking on a new job, I was going to have to take a urine test. I'm like, that's fine by me. I don't smoke anything. My urine is clean. You won't ever have to worry about my pee, because I don't do drugs. So yes, y'all. Going to Wednesday service. Trevor coming to worship. Wednesday, go ahead, girl. Ain't nothing wrong with that, because I'm going to Sunday service come Sunday. But yeah, y'all, so it was very interesting. And she talked very highly of her mother-in-law. Very highly. She said her mother-in-law was a psychiatrist. And she's from Libyan. And she said that, you know, they're really loud. And it used to be like, I know everything, you don't know nothing. And she's learned to adjust with her daughter-in-law. And I said to myself, man, that's such a wonderful thing for a mother-in-law to actually admit that, you know, like, her daughter-in-law is very, you know, cool. Like, she really like her daughter-in-law. You know, when I was married, I spent a lot of time. I really wanted to meet my in-laws' expectations. So if you have a son or a daughter-in-law. You don't know what that daughter-in-law goes through to try to make sure that your expectations. I remember being pregnant, scraping the daggone baseboards because I wanted them to shine like the top of the Chrysler building. Because when I tell you, my mother-in-law kept immaculate, clean, looking like it was freaking something out of a magazine house, I wanted to meet those expectations. And as a wife, I wanted to show like I'm a good wife, and at the same time I love my husband. You know what I mean? That he's not going to be slacking over here, you know, but at the same time I'm still cooking and cleaning, and you know, I didn't want any type of, well, your wife does this, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want any of that. And I think the pressures with the daughter-in-law is just crazy, because I've heard crazy things when it comes to in-laws. Mother-in-law be like, you could do better. And I honestly believe that's what happened. Because of my divorce, it happened because of my mother-in-law. Girl, I remember the stories about sharing you and your in-law. Yeah, I know. And the thing about it is that before everything hit this ceiling fan, which y'all don't know, is that I had a really good relationship with my in-laws. Every birthday we would have fun. We would celebrate each other's birthdays, although it was kind of funny. But birthdays, Christmases, even when we went out to dinner or certain things like that, like we were our own little whatever. It was my in-laws. But when they switched up on me like that, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know y'all. I thought y'all were cool. But the thing is that what this woman was saying about her daughter-in-law and how she has learned to adjust, you know, sometimes I be feeling like, why could my mother-in-law be that way? Was it always in the back of their mind like they can't stand having a black daughter-in-law? You got to understand that when me and Matt got married, in my own in-laws house, they would have like, my hubby did extra for my parents, but they treat him wrong. It's not right. Girl, yeah, they need to stop, because when they get old in age, it's going to be your hubby that's going to be deciding the decisions whether y'all take care of him or put him in an old folk home. They need to stop it. But you know, when it came to certain things, like I just thought that, you know, but I'm gonna tell you something too that I should have never done. I should have never complained to my in-laws about my husband at that time, because what they did was tell us, you can tell us, and what they did was they turned it off, and they tried to rip me apart, man. Now when we first was married and we were married and going out and having fun, they were perfect. They were cool. But when Matt was like, I don't want to deal with it, you deal with it, they were and I, you know, is that a sin? Because I straight up lied to that woman and told them they were good. No, they were good when we were married and we were on good terms. But I had no idea. My hubby don't like my dad. Y'all, your family need, girl, I wish I could look at this while I'm driving, but you know how it is. Y'all, he better understand that's his father-in-law. He has to honor his father, regardless if it's your biological father or not. See, then let me tell you something too about my ex-husband. My ex-husband was lazy with his stuff. His father come and I'm not getting up, I'm sleepy, and I'm like, if you don't get out of this daggone bed, your father is here. Get on downstairs. Baby, I don't feel like doing it. Get on there, man. Oh, fine. It was one of those. I had one of those. Oh, man, I really need to... Oh, my cousin parked for me. Hold on real quick. Can I park behind that car? Yeah, I'm going to have to park right there until she comes out. Let me call her and tell her, could you come out and move your car? Hold on, y'all. Because he's white and you're praising. I mean, now to this day, and we've been married for 11 years. Well, the cool thing about it is that you ain't married him. You married him. They better get over it. Get over it. He does a lot for them. And you know what? You'll be surprised. Dang, I need her to move her. Oh my gosh, I need her to come out. Hold on. Yeah. So anyway, y'all, so that was pretty much it. Yeah, about to have our 4th baby. I'm just glad I found a decent man in him. And that's all that matters, is the man that you love. The man that you love. And then, you know what? It's a good thing that regardless of what mommy and daddy says, that your husband has your back. Because there is a line when you have to respect one another, and that your family is growing. It's supposed to grow. And it's amazing because not only was she reflecting the simple fact of how she was treating her daughter-in-law, but she also looked back at how her mother-in-law treated her. And her mother-in-law helped mold her character in becoming a better woman. You know what I mean? So yeah. But when the question was asked, how was your mother-in-law? I was like, oh, she was a very nice woman. Had to kind of turn, man, like, you know daggone well that your mother and father-in-law paid for your divorce. And you sitting up here in this woman's face, and you sitting up here lying through your teeth saying she was such a good woman. She wanted what she wanted. She wanted her son. And some people would do anything and everything to have that son again. But I don't understand it. Like, don't you understand that when you get married, they become one? So that's, you got to learn to let go and learn to go with the flow, because of my mother-in-law. I'm gonna tell you something, what I found out too, that my father-in-law is a very intelligent man, but his wife she runs it. Really great relationship. We would text and stuff, and I honestly, before all of that happened with the divorce, I really to be there. As a matter of fact, to this day, she don't even know. But I had already spoken to my husband at the time that I really wanted my mother-in-law and my mother to be in the room during the birth. I really wanted her there, and to come to find out, she ended up being there when Symphony was born through an emergency C-section. She was there. My mother wasn't even there. But I really, at that point in time, I loved my mother-in-law, but I did feel like I was trying to go above and beyond to try to prove to my mother-in-law that I was a good wife. I was a good wife. And I thought that in the midst of what my... How am I going to do this? Hold on, y'all. Yeah, so, but anyway, y'all, getting back to what I was saying, it was a really great thing that she talked highly of her mother-in-law. And honestly, it's one of those things that I need to learn how to just shut up and listen without trying to say, well, I did have a mother-in-law, because I did. But when you mention about your children, the first thing they ask is, you're your husband. Or be good to your daughter-in-laws and learn to get along. Anyway, I'll speak to y'all later.